Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It is April Fool's Day for all intents and purposes, but everyone else is just calling it New Year's Day. It is January the 1st, 2020. Now, it may not be January. It might not be the 1st, and I'm fairly certain 2020 is just an arbitrary number made up by really rich white guys. Or not. It's hard to tell. At any rate, I am joined once again by Brandon from the BigSib YouTube channel. He was very busy, so he couldn't do Monday night, but he's here now. What's up, brother?
Hey, brother. I'm glad to be back. Going to be busy again the next 3 or 4 days once one of our group members, study members, has her surgery. But I'm glad to be back. We fit in the time, so here we are. Let's get this thing rolling.
There's so much crazy stuff going on. And right before we went live, we just talked about this. One of them was, I was just telling you before we hit the button that I listened to our last few live streams a couple times over for a reason. And I kept talking about what was the name of what did they call the eclipse? The fire, the
fire in the sky, or ring of fire
fire eclipse, and how I couldn't figure out, something was bothering me. And then the YouTube channel Many Fish once again came up with what appeared to be the missing key. He saw the star Renfram around it. I listened to our live stream. You were actually getting video of the star Renfram being drawn with chemtrails in the sky. And then we see what appears to be entities entering in the form of shooting stars, whatnot. And you and I were just talking about symbols as opposed to the spoken word. You want to pick up on that one thing just so you can, I don't hack it to death. Like,
yeah. Well, first let's identify what a mark is. What has happened and transpired today is men and women don't see what language really is in the first place. No matter what you do, when you make a mark on a page, it's a symbol. So the letters together, which is an engraving onto a parchment or anything, stand alone. They mean something. The A is the administrative. It's a capstone. The capital A, right? I mean, we don't see these symbols as what they are. So we have to go back to a period in time where we recognize those. And even before then, a pictograph, say the very, very, very ancient languages was a pictograph. You had one meaning on that word. And of course, that's why down through time, they changed that morph that into these languages now, where we don't see that the spell is caused by the spelling, right? Or the curses in cursive. Now, these simple concepts, we don't see language for what it is. It's signs and symbols. And of course, Confucius said, I said this in a few deals ago. He said, signs and symbols rule the world, not words and laws. But it is exactly the opposite. That's why his name was Confucius, right? So always do the law of reversal when you're dealing with the occult personalities and philosophy. So what he really meant, signs and symbols are words and laws which rule the world. And that's just how they work in that law of reversal, Richie.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And I was bringing up the fact that, out of everything that still stands, the hieroglyphics are probably a story telling us that this was coming. And of course, the elites are the ones that found the Rosetta Stone. And then they deciphered all those hieroglyphics that showed people walking with lowercase g gods, showed people sitting in front of people that were apparently enormous in prayer. And Decoded Truth Poetics just reminded me.
Oh yeah, thank you, Decoded. You gonna carry us out? Just do the Father's prayer, Richie.
All right. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thy is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever.
Yeah, and
for Brandon those is not Nicholson. And coincidentally enough, I actually got a phone call from Nicholson yesterday. I was just talking to Brandon about it. So Nick will be on very shortly. Nick, Destiny's Lab, and Brandon, and myself. And I'll just be popping up comments while these guys talk, because I'm smart enough to stay out of the way. At any rate.
Not true. You're smart enough to discern good knowledge from bad knowledge, buddy. And you have plenty of I've been a subscriber for 9-10 years or however long you've been on YouTube. I've been there since before Anthony Patch. I think you were like 20,000 subscribers when I subscribed.
It was a long time ago.
That's been a long time ago, buddy. I was there to catch all the Anthony Patches and was upset at that point in time. But, of course, all things happen for a reason, right?
Yep. Anthony had to go his own way, and I went my own way. No big deal. We just, my only issue with Anthony is that he was stuck on the globe Earth model. He couldn't get away from it. He kept thinking they were trying to draw Saturn in. And back at 20,000 subscribers, that's when I started to, Flat Earth popped up, and I was the first one to open my big fat mouth going, oh, it's a psyop and blah, 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 and it doesn't make any difference. And then I really started looking into it on my own without saying any words. And it took me 2 years to come out and eat crow on that one because I could actually prove to myself. I mean, you can go to the highest mountain on Earth, look straight out, and the horizon comes up to meet your eye. That does not work on a ball model, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But long story short, I proved it to myself. So that was our only real, problem, I guess, at any rate. So let's take a look at these 3 articles we have up. And the one thing that I don't know if people have seen this as of yet, Brandon was telling us that he figured out something from the Bible, and I just listened to it. It's about an hour plus, but now you can actually talk about it. So let's look at these articles, and then you're going to summarize this as best you can, because it's pretty much, if it's accurate. And the beauty part about all the people watching right now is people are going to throw their hats in the ring and maybe throw a piece in you might have missed or whatever. So we'll get this all hashed out. Check this out. Many Fish found this like he always does. I invited him to the live stream, but he's got a terrible internet connection where he lives. So he digressed on me. But can you guys see this right here? You can.
Can you blow it up a little bit?
I can. This is from, hold on, let me get this comment out of the way. Sorry, guys. This is UN careers, United Nations careers. This is an actual document, and it's a job opening. The posting title is called Disarmament, Demobilization, and Reintegration Officer P4, meaning pay grade 4. The job code title is the same. The department office is Department of Peace Operations. Department of Peace Operations. The duty station, meaning where it will be, is in New York. And the posting period will be from December 26, 2019 to February 8th, 2020. And this is talking about taking away weapons. Now, that sounds insane, right? Like they wouldn't possibly do that, even though we've been waiting for this penny to drop for a long, long time. Well, let me show you these other articles that Many Fish found, and Brandon can speak on this because we were just talking in the last live stream about how, according to the art of war, when you're strong, you always got to play weak. And Netanyahu being ushered into a bomb shelter because those wacky Palestinians were going to kill him, even though they're surrounded by a giant concrete and steel and barbed wire fence with checkpoints absolutely everywhere. No weapons, basically no food, and they cannot come and go as they please whatsoever at all. But he still had to go to a bomb shelter. But apparently there are attacks going on in New York City. There's been several attacks, I think like 6 anti-Semitic attacks. This guy right here is the latest patsy. He's a United States, a U.S. Marine. Apparently he was off his meds and he stabbed somebody, and he's a severe germaphobe that washed his hands 50 times a day. And he hears demons, and he was off his meds. So he attacked somebody. He headed to a rabbi's home in Rockland County during Hanukkah celebration, stabbed 5 Hasidic Jewish men Saturday evening. Okay, so that's one attack. Let's look at the other. Now look what the response is right away. Lawmakers, primarily or exclusively Jewish lawmakers, are calling on the mayor of New York to call in the National Guard, which would mean straight up, no two ways about it, martial law in New York City, because there's been, out of 8 million people, there's been 7 or 8 attacks. So the Jewish lawmakers want to call in the National Guard. Now, Brandon already caught this. I already commented this morning on Many Fish's channel. Notice the picture that they use in the news. This is on, what is this? NBC News. Look at the poor Hasidic Jew guy. There's a church in the background, but notice the police car just happens to have 3623 on it, 1790. Brandon, what did you tell me about those numbers?
Well, the sum of all numbers 1 through 36 is 666. 36 is also 18, which is another 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18. So let's do it all the way across. You have 9, which is a full reduction of 666 because 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. So we're fully reducing. 23 stands alone. 23 is the number of death and also the hidden Hebrew letter. 23, that's why the movie Jim Carrey was made with 23, and everybody's death was associated with 23. And then, of course, you got the 17, which is 8. That's that infinity circle. And that's the cube, that's the matrix, right? And then, of course, you have a 9 again on which is endings, right? That's what represents there. We have a 9. And there you go again. Dr. Savage got it too. 2/3, 2 is 666. So we're looking at, usually they signify that, guys, when you see the 777. The 777 is usually signifying 2/3 of the full 777 for the Kabbalists now. It shows the 666, but either way, these numbers are there for a reason. They're sitting there showing you right now. And of course, let's before we get too far ahead. So the first one, the first website you showed and the article that you showed. Okay, so this has a twofold issue, right? We already know that they're passing laws on psychiatric drugs, right? We know this that this plays a part in their game, because remember, folks, I'd probably say 50 to 60% of America is on SSI drugs. This shows that you're an infant. This shows that you're unable to manage life without the assistance of the parent state, which is the pharmacological corporate government of the United States. Remember, all this stuff goes all together. So you have that right there. And of course, then you've got the appeal to authority. And I'm going to tell people right now, what is the difference when people go, why they think they should worship the Chosenites in the nation, city, state of Israel, or these men and women that claim they're Jewish. Listen, folks, there's two trusts. There's your trust from your father, and I've explained this in my last study group, and getting down to the church and the state. There is no separation of church and state. The church is the temple. You are the temple which houses the Father. Okay. The state is your state of mind, your state of being, your constitution, what makes you. You were made from something higher than man. That means you should never submit to man. Okay. Your trust document is what your living irrevocable trust, which was Yahushua was the testator of, which means when he died, it was in perpetuity. It went forever. That's it. That is your living trust document, is your Bible. What most people believe the Bible is one thing, but what it really is your covenant, your contract. I'll expound on that at a later date next week, probably this weekend, about those principles, Richie. But let me tell y'all, there's a set of people that appeal to the Father, and there's a set of people that appeal to the beast. And the Jewish people appeal to the beast, and they've worked hand in hand with the beast their entire lives. They have no issue working with inside as lawyers, doctors, priests, rabbis, whatever, within the beast. They never work on the side of the Father because they're Talmudic. The Maimonides, we went through this a few weeks ago with with Maimonides and the Hammurabi codes and everything else in the seat of Congress on Olympia Drive. They're at the Capitol, the Temple of Jupiter. We've gone through this. We know what these things mean. That's what capital means. So what people have to understand is that they're going to continue restricting freedom. And listen, let me tell you something, folks. Just 2 weeks ago, when Donald Trump and the Republicans and the Democrats decided to do that executive order stating that it is now hate speech on college campuses, it's not going to stop there. We already know I'm on a hate speech site. I had to deactivate my Twitter account because I'm already deemed a hate speecher. And if we're going to put people in the jurisdiction of California, but anyway, let me get back on track. So they signified right then and there the religion of the United States of America was Judaism. And I don't think people understood it. I don't think people recognized it for what it is. So now you made a protected people.
Brandon, back up on that one. Back up on that one. Can you lay that out just a little clearer? Because you said that earlier in your the video I listened to from my, what was it, Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You're saying that they basically declared America's main religion as Judaism as opposed to Christianity or even Catholicism, because we don't have any protections, but you can't say anything now, to the point where lawmakers are trying to force the governor of the governor of New York to call in the National Guard, because out of 8 million people, what is it, 0.0000001% of them have been attacked, and some of the attacks were only verbal. We're calling in the National Guard, and I will not be shocked if it happens.
No, and what they did was state that you just went against everything. You just made a religion a state, right? And remember, it's the state of mind. So what's the state of mind of this country right now? It's degenerate, it's debaucherous, it's disgusting. But yeah, they just made a protected class, separated these people from the rest, and said, "Hey, we're going to give them all the protection." There's only one way to look at it. They just said the United States is under Judaism. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. When you separate a religion and a class and protect them from everybody else, you just said that's your religion.
It's crazy too, because you think it was a total. I mean, like whether we knew it or not, we called this the other night when, like I said, something's coming. They're getting ready to do something because Netanyahu had to go to a bomb shelter. Come on, man, get out of here with that noise. That's ridiculous. I've had Max Egan on numerous times, and Max is crafty enough to have actually, according to his own words, navigated the tunnels between Palestine and Israel as Israel continues to expand. And those people ain't doing shit to anybody. They're shooting bottle rockets over a wall once in a while. I mean, come on, man. I've said this before. The state that we give trucks full of money to every single solitary day, literal 18-wheelers stacked top to back, front to bottom with cash, are spying on us. And it's been in the mainstream until they bought the mainstream and basically shut that down. So they don't know what the guys that are inside the giant fishbowl that they have made out of concrete and steel are doing. We called it then, and then here are the headlines today. All of a sudden, everyone's getting attacked. And it's always, of course, it's U.S. Marines. It's always got to be somebody that's going to be a threat. So they're going to go after any military guys. That's why all of a sudden the military is great as long as we're spreading democracy. But when they come home, F them. And you know what? They're probably going to be a problem anyway. So it's insane how this is all really playing out, and it's playing out quick. Dude, we just talked about this days ago, and here it is. Hegelian dialectic at its finest. And
listen, I saw somebody post in my chat, right? The Judaism of the Old Testament isn't Judaism of the New Testament and all that garbage. Listen, folks, you can go put that in your pipe and smoke it all you want if you want to believe that. Listen, I'm telling you right now, the rejection of Yahushua means you reject the covenant of the Father. Listen to me. Listen to me good. You cannot have the covenant and the trust that is set up in the Bible without Yahushua, the dying testator, which puts it in perpetuity. So there is no such thing as Jews of the Old Testament and Jews of the New Testament. Just take that Judaism. Judaism is a direct lineage. We can go to Jewish Virtual Library, and I'll show you. The Pharisees are in direct lineage today to rabbinical Judaism, exactly what Yahushua was against. Because listen to me, the leaders of Israel at that time, the Sadducees and the Pharisees, were in conjunction with the Edomite Herod and the rulership of Rome. I'm trying to tell you how this really plays out. Nothing's changed. And, you know, people can get all this worry in their head about all this other crap, but there's a beast system and there's the Father's kingdom. There's not one, two, three, or four. There's two. There's the beast kingdom, and then there's Father's kingdom. You can't be one of both. You're either one or the other. And I hate that that's the truth, that people want this gray area, but there isn't a gray area.
Indeed, indeed. This is funny. I'm just going to pop this up because I can see Sib's getting all worked up. The bigger your channel gets, and the more, I mean, you're getting so close to the target. It's ridiculous. And your channel's still growing, even though YouTube tried to stop it. So F them, YouTube.
Razor Queen got it. And look, but I hardly ever see Razor Queen in here. That is the first person to ever send you one of my videos was Razor Queen.
Was it?
Yes, she was the first person to ever do that. So thank you, Razor Queen, and nice to see you in here.
Razor Queen's awesome. People are funny because they're like, Richie, you can't be, how am I supposed to remember you? Seriously. Unless you email me every day or I talk to you, I don't remember me. I don't remember my own people. Brandon's talked to me before we went live, and I forget what I'm saying while I'm saying it. Am I lying? Am I exaggerating?
No.
It happens. I've been alive for a long time. I've ingested a lot of chemicals, and even when I got clean, I'm ingesting even more now. But check this out. This is funny because they're making a big news story out of this. Apparently, the Pope slapped a woman. It wasn't a bitch slap like people are telling me. It was just a slap on the hand. But what do you think of that? Any comments?
You know, this is why we don't read the news, right? Because
that's exactly it.
This is inside that circle, right? They keep you inside that little circle right there. And Bill Herzog is right. Hey, listen, I have no doubt, my friends. And look, I get a little righteously indignated at men and women. But the truth is that we have something before us that is transpiring, and all things will be revealed, and knowledge is being increased, folks. Do not come to the knowledge of the truth and reject it.
Right.
Please don't. Please don't do that. Don't take that route. Listen, folks, we all have to fight through the cognitive dissonance. We have to break through that barrier, this programming. That's why we're all part of the MK Ultra programming. Don't come to that knowledge of the truth and walk away, folks, just because you'd rather hold on to your own belief system. And we're here, folks. It's happening, and we're either going to live the righteous path or we're not.
Indeed. I got a funny, I mean, we've spoken about this. I've said this in other videos too. Just, you know, I think 2020 is more than we, even though it's an arbitrary made up number and it's not the real year, etc. April Fool's is the beginning of the year. And that's the joke. That's the entire joke, because God created everything. I mean, I was just out in the woods before I jumped on this. And I've got this habit where I'm walking through the woods at night. That's what I've been doing lately. Earlier, I tried to catch I didn't try to catch an owl. I tried to catch him on camera. I got him hooting on video, but other than that, but that's what I do when I'm not on camera, apparently. But check this out. I just totally forgot what I was going to talk about. Oh, you know what? 2020. God created everything perfectly. The beginning of a new year. A new year wouldn't be in what's usually the dead of winter. And ironically enough, as cold as it was in September, October, and November, December's doing the same thing it did last year, and it's like 40 degrees out with no sun.
It's been 75 here.
Yeah, 40 degrees in Boston right now. No sun at all. No sun. No sun for us. So that's kind of crazy. But yeah, geoengineering, man, they're stepping it up absolutely big time. And I can't help but notice the nonstop alien talk, alien. It bums me out how people will not believe in God. That was easy. It was so easy to get a whole nation of people to believe in science, even though the science makes no sense if you spend any amount of time looking into it at all. But nobody believes in God. But if they put a bunch of Project Bluebeam 2.0 things up in the sky right now, people will believe we're being attacked by aliens, or the aliens are here to help. One of the two. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's one of those things, again, that falls back into a part of the dialectic too, is the hero worship, right? And always looking to an outside source to save you. And that's the hero with 1,000 faces. And before I forget, while you were talking about New Year's Eve on January, remember, January is named after the two-faced hypocrite Janus, right?
Right.
What better day to bring in the year as a hypocrite? These things have basis deep theology and deep occult roots hidden, but there's a reason why we celebrate in the dead of winter, the New Year's and everything else, all that stuff, it correlates. But yeah, that's this everything, we talk about it all the time. Everything has different layers and it all works in conjunction to fulfill the role. And really the role now is that we've built their kingdom and now they don't need us.
I've been saying that for years, and they've been slowly basically putting that out there. Geordie Rose is determined to not only build machines, like they tell us constantly that the earth is completely overpopulated. There's way too many people here, but all the high technology, all the big business money, all the high tech money is in building exact replicas of us. There's too many of us, but they're going to build. That's all they care about.
Yeah,
is they don't need us anymore. They needed America to build up a monster military that could take down anything. The only problem with that is when I was born, people still weren't digging that. We don't want to go to war for some jerk in some other country and kill a bunch of people I never met. Well, over the years, using phenomenal technology and smart bombs and all this other stuff, they got people cheering about us going to war like it was a football game. People were cheering even though they knew the whole war was a lie. I can't stop bringing up that we killed 1 million people in Iraq. Women and children, they're out in the backyard raking leaves or baking bread, and all of a sudden, missile strike, everybody's gone. Imagine if that happened to somebody here. Imagine if that comes home to roost.
Well, we can take this and expound on this, Richie. The fact that we every single Bolshevik revolution, every single communist regime, we the American people were the funding of that. That's the 66 to 100 million there in Russia. And let's talk about something modern day, right? We are the ones who instituted Mao Zedong and funded the Chinese deal. And now we are watching a people subjected to social credit scores. And make no mistake, folks, that this is the route. That is, I want to say it was, which one of those politicians made the statement that what is happening in China is the best social experiment ever. Matter of fact, Aaron and Melissa Dykes had put it up on their video that they did a week or so ago, and they're showing cybernetics and everything else. But Aaron and Melissa are usually on point on this stuff. But what you're seeing is the subjection and the spreading of that democracy all over the world, right? And hey, folks, make no, the roost comes home. It's going to come home
without a doubt. There's after we talked about Bill Gates, MIT coming out, so much crazy stuff. We bring out so much crazy stuff. I think people build up a tolerance to it, like a vaccine or some such. But when they came out and said that they're going to have an invisible ink tattoo on everybody where they can remote, like, think about this. You're like a product on a shelf with a barcode now. They can shoot a laser and see if you've got your vaccines. There is only one reason on God's green earth that they would ever need to do that, is because they're going to introduce an outbreak that's going to wipe out a lot of people, and then everyone else is going to be scared to death, and they're going to beg for that vaccine. And that vaccine is going to be the end of humanity as we've ever known it, in my opinion. That's frightening stuff. Bill Gates is behind it, and MIT. Yeah, that ain't going to be good. And that's all happened in the last 2 weeks, man.
Yeah,
the amount of information we've talked about in the last 2 weeks, Brandon.
Yeah, it's been a lot, man. And
it's been a lot. It's crazy how quickly this has sped up.
Well, and of course, we get into the year of 2020. Hindsight's 2020, right? They're trying to tell you, like, hey, you should have been paying attention, right?
That's right. And the word Ebola. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The word Ebola keeps popping up in the mainstream all over the place. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? We've all looked at the patents. Everybody's gotten a video on the patents for Zika. Every single one of these things is patented, including HIV, AIDS, everything. These guys own this stuff. It's just insane. But it's coming. Their plans are written on stone for a reason. And we were talking about that earlier, too, with the hieroglyphics and such. You know what I'm saying? Right. People have a hard time believing that shooting stars happening on the night of a ring of fire eclipse is a complete coincidence, even though there's a star Renfram in the sky, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Things are going to get crazy even faster than they are now. And I think it's already sped up more than I've ever seen, in my opinion, man.
Right. And, you know, it is, and it's gonna, and we talk about it all the time, and that's because it has no option but to continue forward. And anybody who is still in the mindset that we're going backwards, hey, listen, that's not happening, folks. You better live in the day, the present moment, and plan for a better tomorrow. And that means actually educating yourself, or eruditing yourself, really is the better word, and planning to teach your children separately, wholly, remember, separately from the public education centers. There's a reason why they're called public education. They're educating you to be the public.
That's it.
So, I mean, these things are right out in plain sight for us to see. We just lack awareness and lack discernment. And all we do is get on here and talk about them, Richie. And it seems like every time we get on here and talk, within a few days, what we were talking about is coming to fruition. And it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. But hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is. And here's the deal. There's too many people that are under the impression that there's going to be this great awakening. Somebody just said, we need to get them to stop the chemtrails. Well, they're never going to stop the chemtrails. They've basically done the same thing that they did with aliens. Aliens, these guys, I mean, we'd have to do a 500-hour show, which I ain't doing. I only got a certain amount of water here. These guys have been trying to tear the veil. They've been trying to summon spirits that we can prove since Babylon working in 1947. Magically, coincidentally, wackily enough, in 1947, after these guys do this enormous thing with Jumbo, the Trinity explosions. Watch Age of Deceit if you don't know what I'm talking about, because Gon Shimura is the one that brought me up on this. He still got it out. These guys literally took a 25-ton steel sarcophagus like you'd find inside a pyramid or near a pyramid, and they had a golem, a clay thing, the same thing Adam was before God breathed the breath of life into him. When those nuclear weapons or whatever those were went off, they tried to create so much power with an explosion that they would breathe life into this golem in this big giant thing called Jumbo. I don't know if it ever happened. I don't think anyone's ever going to know it ever happened. L. Ron Hubbard, Jack Parsons, and Aleister Crowley were the main architects behind this. But right after they tried to do this, one of these guys said, we tore the veil for a second. Something flew in momentarily. Right after that, we had things like Roswell and UFOs. The government's been denying UFOs forever. People are showing them pictures, videos. There's a UFO right there. Nope, that's you're crazy. That's swamp gas, or that's just an airplane. And then magically, 2 years ago, after the predictive programming, after everything's been done, they flipped the switch. And now suddenly the government, airline pilots, military, everybody that literally in a real world signed a non-disclosure agreement has come out and said, oh yeah, we were videos. There's UFOs everywhere. They're all over the place. We're seeing them all over. They did the same thing with chemtrails. Those aren't real. That's ridiculous. That's just content. And now suddenly we have to spray the skies. We're going to spray the skies. We're going to spray the skies to save everybody from global warming. They do the same stuff. What did you call it last time? When they lie about something and then they flip it after the people are dumbed down to a certain point. You call
it desensitizes you, and it's predictively programming you.
But you called it something else, and I can't think of it.
Oh man,
it'll come to you.
It'll come to me. But yeah,
they're doing it. They're doing it.
They're doing it. You know, Richie, it's just one of these things that no matter. And listen, folks, we don't have the spirit of fear. Let me expound on that before we go any further. We discuss what's happening in reality, and we talk about it, but we don't have the spirit of fear. We have the spirit of power and love and a sound mind. Be sober. That means a lot more than just not on drugs. It means in your higher mind up here. That means think these things through. If you're panicking, that means you're either in fight or flight mode. And remember, folks, we're ambassadors of righteousness, which bring peace. Okay, so you don't ever war with the beast.
Right.
You don't ever war with the beast. Who can make war with the beast? So what we have to figure out is how to make peace with this beast. And at some point, I do believe I will get to that point in the studies of figuring out how to not use my nom de guerre anymore. But either way, I just wanted to get that out there. Look, folks, this isn't about fear porn or anything else. We're just discussing topics.
Period. And that was the piece of the topic I forgot. I do that all the time. I'll go into some big soliloquy and I never actually answer the question that I posed myself. We're not going to stop them. We're not going to stop them from spraying the skies, because if you ask them to stop, they're going to say, well, we're not spraying the skies. Well, you just said you were going to spray the sky to save us from global warming. Yeah, but that's different. This whole machine is just gone. It's going. My job, the only reason I even hit the red button on this mic every day is because I feel that there's some person, to me, it's usually a woman, but most guys fight wars for women, that need to be woken up. And for some reason, I have the ability to reach them, as does Brandon, as do many of you, because when they're watching us, they're seeing you as well. We're not stopping this thing. We're not stopping this thing. I don't see it happening. And if I read the Bible correctly, they get their time. And I'm fairly certain their time is pretty damn close, because I was just walking in the forest and I'm going to say 6 out of 10 trees is dead. And it's insane how they're dead, because you know how we were watching the fires out in California where trees were burning from the insides? We've got massive 100-foot pine trees, and I've got video. I'll post it after this live stream. The trees look fine, except they're cracking right up the middle because the insides are gone, because they're dying, because they can't suck in aluminum, barium, strontium and live. They're dying everywhere. The entire earth, I mean, it's smoked.
And I also want to bring up to everybody's mind here in this chat and in Richie's chat. Hey, look, guys, when you the prayer warriors, I want to something that, because it's not here, but I do want to bring to mind our brothers and sisters in Australia going through very, very, very hard times over there. When the corporate states over there are selling water, which is already sold here too. Make no mistake, everything is for sale in this country. That's corporatocracy. But just want to put that out there for our brothers and sisters in Australia. Just because you were talking about the burning of the trees, it brought it to mind.
Yeah, no worries, man. I've got a ton of followers from Australia that hit me up very regularly. I'm talking every day. And it's crazy. Okay. How about this? Why do you say we can't stop them? Because 9 out of 10, the people don't even acknowledge that anything's wrong. That's why I say that. Bronwyn Doyle. All right. Oh my goodness. We can't even get people to realize, hey, see all those lines coming out of the back of the planes? It's this geoengineering. See this? No, it isn't. You see what I'm saying? We're still trying to wake people up, brother. All right. So if you've got some other answer rather than that question, I'm all ears, man.
Well, the only well, here's the problem, right? The only control of any space that you have is directly related to the land you possess. Remember, possess. The land you possess and occupy, that's yourself. Well, I hate to tell you, man, if you're never out in messing with Johnny Q Public, he doesn't care a rat's butt about what happens today or tomorrow, as long as he's got 3 meals or whatever. Most people don't care, man. They just don't care, and that's the truth. So what we do is we focus on how to become citizens of the kingdom of heaven on earth. And now, if we can ever get enough people to do that, then it would happen.
And it would happen.
Yeah.
If somebody like me can actually really and earnestly try to learn how to address the Heavenly Father correctly, anybody can. All right. I curse sometimes, but you know what? I swore. That's how I talked. It's hard. I don't do it usually. I try not to. I pray with my hat off. I hit my knees all the time. Do you see what I'm saying? And if somebody's receptive, I'll tell them. If they aren't, I just keep moving on. There's no sense into yelling into an abyss. And there's a lot of people that, to me, are an abyss. The local meteorologists have all been swept away. All the meteorologists have been swapped with women with large breasts wearing either purple or blue, telling you what the weather's going to be. Meteorologists are done. A few tried to say something, and they were gone. Gone.
I will say this too, though. You're either a pledge of the beast or you're a pledge of the Father. And remember, a pledge is all the way to death, folks. So I just want people to understand what that means. It means walking uprightly. And no matter what, even if we go to the death in this life, the eternal reward is worth it. I just don't fear what's going to happen in this life anymore.
I'm not big with fear. It's funny that people call me fear porn. You know how many times? It's amazing. I've fought my entire life. No big deal. It wasn't my idea, but it's just how things worked out. And you know what happened? I always ended up in a little metal box. A little metal box. That was the answer for that. So there's got to be another way, because they've got lots and lots of metal boxes. They turned it into an industry, if I remember correctly.
Well, yeah, that was I posted that how that they're really institutionalized a corporatocracy over slave labor. Right now, my last stay there, a third party contractor had the food and everything else. It was an air market, to be honest. There, but yeah, it's just profiting off the suffering of men and women. That's all it is.
Okay, we pretty much covered the several things. Even the Pope slapping people. Pope's dope. He's no joke. He'll slap you. So watch yourself, because he's of God. And anyway,
at the Pontifex Maximus and the Vicarius Filii Dei, the bridge builder between heaven and earth, and the substitution. That's what vicarious means. It's substitute of Christ. Of course, people just don't get it. There is no substitution. The only people believe themselves to be that. So just these titles that this Pope, and of course, remember, folks, the Pope himself is just a legal fiction up there. That's the living man acting. It's a corporation soul. That's what Rome is. Rome is a corporation soul, SOLE. And that means it's a in perpetuity corporation. So the man up there, that's just like the crown of England. That right, the crown holds all the power, not the queen. The queen just walks around with the crown. This fictional land that we live in is unbelievable once you see it.
Indeed.
He is a Jesuit. He is a Jesuit.
Yeah, but there wasn't even any hiding it. None at all. I mean, the whole thing was basically, all right, get out of here. We need the new Pope in. So that was insane. That whole thing was insane and incredibly biblically scripted, if I remember correctly. The lightning strikes and all. That was crazy.
Yeah, and of course, I really wish, and of course, we'll see this. I'll break this down. Right, there's two sets of individuals that the Son was against, Yahushua, right? It was the scribes, which were the Sadducees, and the Pharisees. The Sadducees were the writers of law. The Pharisees were your religious. So when you see these, the Sadducees just didn't disappear. They became Rome, right? That's your Corpus Juris, that's your Justinian. And then you had your Pharisees, the religious side, which is your infiltration and subversion of everything that is good that has roots in the Kabbalah. I don't care if it's Hinduism, Buddhism. I don't care what it is, New Ageism, Satanism. Its roots, Freemasonry, its roots come from the Kabbalah. Of course, Albert Pike said that clearly. I showed that in Morals and Dogma, that all secret societies stem from the Kabbalah, and its roots are based there. That's in Morals and Dogma for anybody that wants to know. So these things are self-evident when you understand your enemy. And what blows my mind in today is how we protect those. You got it, brother. You got it, John. You got it. Well, and we'll go back. I actually believe that I want to expound on this. I believe it is a combination, right? Your birth certificate is your registration. You're certified. They stole the birth that come out the canal, right? It had safe passage to life, and it ended up getting stamped. I actually believe it's your Social Security number. Has more to do it, which is going to turn into that real ID number and all that stuff, because that's your contract covenant with that. But let me expound on that too. You can make every bit of that null and void, and eventually I'll get to the point to where I show that All contracts based on generalities and ambiguity of words is abhorrent in the law. And because it hasn't been expressed to you, it's only been implied with presumptions that you know that you're acting in the place of a dead man. Is the only way that they can continue this process on us. But my living trust, my living irrevocable trust, now that I'm aware of it, is written right there in Psalm 23. And I'm going to show that this weekend. And it's written again in the Father's Prayer. We're going to expound on the ideas that I showed last week again, which correlates to our church and our state, and what makes us us, and what our daily bread is. But this week we're going to do the 7 principles of the trust agreement instead of the 7 principles of the testator, which was Yahushua, and how this correlates down, trickles down, and is our ticket to freedom. Not that we're not going to be brought up to the councils and in their synagogues and not be persecuted. That's not the truth, folks. We're going to be persecuted for righteousness' sake, because this is the beast. But we will do it because we serve the kingdom of the Father and not the kingdom of the beast. So all these things at this point in time, we're getting to that point in time where is being increased. And we know this, we can see it, we can witness it. I can feel it in my life. I just know the answers are around the corner. So what will be shall be. Never put ourselves in the place of the Most High, and understand that it will be His will. And these beast servers and everything else, they hate life. They're trying to destroy everything on the planet for whatever reason. That's what happens when you get psychopathic and narcissistic and sociopathic. You just hate all life. And that's what these families, these bloodline ruling hierarchy families are. They hate all life, man.
That's it. You go, and then you stop. You're terrible on live.
I got a squirrel, man. I was reading.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So check this out. The reason Tired of BS's comments been up there for such a long time is because I didn't want to forget. She said you can barely find anything over the internet about the Black Pope. Okay. So let's switch comments real quick. All right. Check this out. Doing research for the video that I put up this morning, and doing research for the videos in the last few weeks, months, finding information on YouTube, DuckDuckGo, Google, it's becoming impossible. Every single solitary one of my videos, if you watch it and it auto plays to the next video, it goes to Fox News every time, which you'd think Fox would say, hey, YouTube, can you stop doing that? Because all those assholes from Richie from Boston's channel come over here and thumbs down us right away. That's not good for business. Well, they're doing the same thing on the search engines. You can't find barely anything anymore, and that's not going to get better. That's going to get worse. So when anybody tries to look up any information now, if you don't leave 500 links in your comment section, and then usually those somehow disappear as well, people aren't going to find it. They're literally using technology to erase history, because people don't own books anymore. And if you do want a book that's got actual information, how much are they, Brandon? $200, $300, $400, $500, $600, $700?
Some of these books I'm buying is costing me $200 a piece. I want to answer this guy, Samuel Whitman, right here. I don't want this to Samuel Whitman. I went the path of writing an irrevocable living trust. I had no idea that what the Father was doing at that point in time was to teach me something. All right. And I had no clue. None of this, none of the path that I'm at now did I ever plan to be at. It's just the way things happen. So I started working on a living irrevocable trust, putting it together, got to the point and filing my some UCC1 paperwork and things of that nature, and put a halt to it. And I just something told me to put a halt to it. Now I've been working for the last 2 months on the current. I did the public versus private. I did all that stuff, and then we got to the church and the state. And I don't know if it really portrays to everyone out there. The church and the state video was a breakthrough, and it led to a recognition of the last one: seek ye first the kingdom of Yahuwah. And what happened was, because I had done all that work, all this legal work going up to learning how to write a trust myself, did I see that the 7 principles of a trust were written right there, with the grantor, the trustee, and the beneficiaries right there in the Father's prayer. That's it's crazy, but that's exactly why Yahushua tells you should pray like this. And then, of course, in Psalm 23 and a few other places too. And then I showed the principles of the testator also. But what I will tell you right now is you already have your living trust. And this is exactly why you go into a courtroom and they make you say an oath on a Bible. It signifies that you are leaving his kingdom and going into theirs. These rituals that they use are to show that we are not of that living trust. That living irrevocable trust is in perpetuity and testified, and Yahushua was the testator. And these things are deep level concepts. Most people want to make a religion. Remember, the truth is always hidden in plain sight. We just don't know how to say it. We don't know how to recognize it. We don't know how, and I'll say something right now. 90% of us have no idea what the definitions, and that includes me. I'm not excluding anyone else. This includes me too. What I started learning to do is go define every word that I think I know what it meant. And what I've come to find out is that 90% of my language and 90% of the words that I use, I have no clue what they mean. I think they do. And this is where we get into the belief is the enemy of knowing. See, I currently right now, I know for a fact that the Bible is a living trust document, irrevocable and set apart, holy, 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 and is your trust agreement and your covenant, your kingdom, your government, and and everything all in one. I don't think that. I know it. And of course, belief is the enemy of knowing. Secular, if you want to be secular, you're going to be part of that beast kingdom, is period. Some people may want to deny that. But the government itself, the state of being, which is the government, and in all its forms, so we can take it from the low side to the high side, that is a secular deity. I showed this weekend with Hegel and the Hegelians and all this stuff, that the state separates us from our original temple and joins us to the paperwork, and that is the process of converting us to something dead, and we become the accommodating agents for that dead thing. And all this stuff works hand in hand. So I hope I answered your question. The key is that your living trust is already written, folks. And I hope y'all understand just how serious that is and how important it is that you don't have to go rely on someone else to, like, for what I did. I went and did all this research trying to write all this stuff out. And let me tell you, folks, reading their garbage is some of the most convoluted, complex stuff you'll ever read. And that's what I've immersed myself in the last 2 years, along with the scriptures, to prove that it is the opposite side of it. So remember, this is duality world, folks. You have a good and you have an evil, and they are definitely nothing good. And for those of you still hanging on to this thread that America is some pious, pure country, it is not, folks. It is not.
If you need to go grab a drink of water, go ahead, brother. You sound like you were getting ready to cry. You big baby.
Well, it's a beautiful thing, Richie.
No, I'm hip. Listen, what I wanted to ask you, I didn't want to interrupt you. The only bad thing is that me and Brandon go back and forth so much. Neither one of us mute our mics. So I know that sucks for you guys sometimes, because if he's talking and I start talking, my mic overrides his and vice versa. So I apologize, but it is what it is. Get a grip.
Yeah.
This woman's posted twice, and I have a thought about this. I'm going to run this by you all now. We've already talked about this, and it's strange that we've talked about this one topic numerous times, but here she's talking about the mark of the beast. Let me put this up for your consideration, everybody. Is this it? Would this be the mark? Because they haven't said where it would be put on this. And like I just said, They're going to, the only way this entire thing right here, the invisible ink, blah, 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 would work is if there already was a horrific outbreak that took out a bunch of people where people would be clamoring to get this so that they could move around, buy and sell, etc., whatever. Is this it?
Well, we're
just guessing here, but I mean, it just came to me. And in the last couple of weeks, for whatever reason, we'll pose a question and out of thin air, out of the ether, if the ether existed, but clearly Albert Einstein proved it's not real. That's sarcasm, folks. Is this it?
Well, I'm gonna give you my interpretation.
Have at it. That's what I'm asking, brother.
Armchair's got it. All right. So the only way you can buy or sell is to have something of value. All right. That's why the gold and silver standard was kicked out. The only way that you can buy or sell anything now is you can't. You really only trade debt back and forth with each other. Debt, remember, debt is a trespass. It's holding somebody else's property. And as such, that note has zero value. And what you are doing is trading back and forth something that has absolutely no intrinsic value. And of course, this will take off into the next stage of that, which is the digital money.
Right, because the mark of the beast being the Federal Reserve note, the mark of the beast is clearly either on your hand or your forehead.
Right.
The beast is usually in my wallet, just so I can show people how they never changed a dollar bill. And one other thing, real quick. When you started writing your living trust, was this way before the video you just put out on the living trust?
Oh, yeah. Way before.
You just like all this is right now.
Yeah, right.
Oh, dude, we're doing God's work. I'm sure of it. This is crazy.
Yeah, no. I know
that you're a good guy. I'm not.
Yeah,
I am.
I just figured this stuff out. The last two videos that I put out, Richie, were a culmination of the last year of work. And what happened was when you know this, you have these aha moments that it's like, wow, I just broke through a barrier. Right. And I was going through all the documents that I've written up and everything else, my trust documents, going through the 7 principles. And I'm reading the principles. I'm reading the principles of the trustee. I'm reading all this stuff and how it kicks into perpetuity upon my death. And I'm sitting there, hold up now. There's something missing here. This is already done, and it's just amazing how it happens like that. So I have no doubt that the Father allowed me to go mess around and spend my time on that and do that and learn it. And then allowed me the ability with the Spirit to say, hey, this is what you've been looking for your whole time, but I had to go gain the knowledge to actually see it. And that's just how it works. It's amazing how it does work.
Great videos, but no follow-up. Dude, who are you? What are you talking about? I already put you in timeout. You know how lame it is for me to put another, I'm assuming, adult in the timeout? Richie, we got to stop them. Well, we got to stop them. We've already explained that. If you've got an answer, that's not it. But come on, man, you're killing me. Absolutely killing me. So how about this? I already showed this. So for people that didn't know what I was talking about, I'm going to put it up. This is the video that Brandon just put out, and it's going to be very controversial. And he's also got a follow-up to it that's going to be very controversial. Am I right? Am I stating this correctly? Mm-hmm. You've already said you're getting some blowback, right?
Well, I'm getting blowback from people who, and not my regulars now. The people that want to stay in the false religion, they want to stay there. They want to be secure there. And that is that we can do, which is the Aleister Crowley's "do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." And, the law stapled up on some cross somewhere. There is no government of the Father. None of that stuff matters. We can just do. And really, they don't understand that they're holding two diametrically opposed thoughts in their mind at one time, right, which means cognitive dissonance. That means you can do whatever you want and just go say, I'm sorry the next day, and then go back to doing whatever you want. And they just don't get it, that it's deeper than that. They want to keep going to their dispensationalism style church that's telling them that Israel's the chosen knights or whichever emanation of these 501c3 church houses, which are part of the beast system. Make no mistake about it. When they get that filing from the government so they can preach from the pulpit for mammon, they are part of the beast system, and that's just a fact. That's just a fact. There's no second guessing that, and that's who I get blowback. That's who I get blowback.
Well, check this out. See, I don't know if you've considered this or not, but you know how YouTube is. Somebody's channel will get big and somebody else's channel is doing the same thing and they're a Christian. So then they decide, you know what? I'm going to start reading and I'm going to be a Zionist Christian. So I'll be even that much more. I'm now next level Christian. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't like hearing what you're saying, even though what you're saying is absolutely right. And then it's showing up in the news. How are these people suddenly taking over everything about our country completely? Every law that's passed, every single law that's passed by this government, for the people, by the people, blah, 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 blah. It only hurts the people and helps other countries, specifically one who also happens to have all their symbolism on the back of our dollar bill. There's no denying that. And that one piece of paper never changes. All of our Federal Reserve notes have changed numerous times in my lifetime, except that one magic sigil or talisman, whatever you want to call it.
Well, that's the capstone floating above the pyramid. And of course, that's the A symbol, the capital A symbol. And what they're signifying right there is that they are the administrator. And I want to say this. You either have a free state of mind, a state of being, okay? This is that church and state. You either have a free state of mind within the Father, or you have a governed state of mind by the state. You got that? That they are administrating their law on you. And the only choice of freedom is living within that universal natural law. And of course, the within their system now is having duties and obligations which are already in place, which are from a contract and a covenant of a higher authority. And of course, we've forgotten this, that our duties and obligations are to that covenant contract, and that we are supposed to do the will of the Father at all times through the testator, which is Yahushua. And these concepts, you can't understand them until you take in large amounts of reading and defining words, and of course, just language in general. Like one lady in here is talking, claiming that the Greek is the best text in the world. I hate to tell you, lady, the Greek, the Hebrew, and the Masoretic.
We were just talking about this before we went live.
I hate to tell you, lady, you need to read the Edomites, the Empire, the Roman Empire, the Empire of the Edomites, Greek, Hebrew, Masoretic Hebrew, and Latin all correlate one from another. So does Sanskrit. These are all corrupted languages. That's just like the mystery schools that come out of Greece with Isocrates down to Aristotle and Plato, were about hiding knowledge from everybody, and only their little mystery school children had knowledge. That's why they used the trivium and the quadrivium to hide everything, to keep everybody enclosed in the encyclopedia. So you can take that stuff and throw it right out the window, lady, and whatever you're trying to push and sell, it's not going to be bought here.
And just to back that up, right before we went live, we were talking about that exact topic, just matter-of-factly, and there's a reason that all major companies use symbols. All of them. Every single one of them. And almost specifically, they all like to stick with the pyramid or something to that effect. But if you look at any of the symbolism, it's all ancient symbolism. It's all stars. It's all stars of Remfram. It's all alien stuff. It's all Freemasonic golden arches, or it's all things like the Monster Energy drink with the Vav, Vav, Vav. You know what I'm saying? Are we keeping you awake, dude?
Oh, I just got a little yawn there, buddy.
Dude, we can punch out right now. We got 3,000 people watching. We gone for an hour, but here I want to show you. I want to show this.
You were supposed to stay over there.
All right, stand by. I want to show this so that people know what we're talking about. We got sidetracked a couple of times, but that's cool. That's cool. Somebody in the comment section said, "Why can't we ask questions?" Well, that's what the comments. That's why I watch the comments and then I post them. If you actually asked a question, I bet you we would answer it one way or the other. Now, here we go. I put the link in the chat about 600 times now. Seek ye first the kingdom of Yahuwah. This was put up on the 29th. This is the video where you break everything down. This is the video that I've been putting the link into. This is the video that I asked, and if it isn't possible, or if you have to go an entire hour to explain it, have at it. But can you summarize for people so they know what they're going to be seeing if they haven't watched this yet? Because I know 3,000 people that need to see this right now.
Okay. So seek you first the kingdom of Yahuwah. Okay, there's two kingdoms, folks. Understand that, and I'll see if I can get that up there. There's two kingdoms. There's the beast kingdom, and there's the kingdom of the Father. Now, of course, we'll understand this because we live in duality world. You have light and dark and everything else. Okay, the state. We'll read that from Hegelian, the Hegel right there. As high as mind stands above nature, so high does the state stand above physical life. Man must therefore venerate the state as a secular deity. Now, the Hegel state is the government. The march of God in this world, that is what the state is. Okay, so you have men and women whose lifelong mission is to submit men to slavery. Make no mistake, there's no other way to cookie cut it. It is men and women, whichever one, submitting their fellow man to slavery and that type of life. Okay, the kingdom of Yahuwah through Yahushua is about freedom from men's tyranny. You either will worship, you will either be ruled by God, which is come on, Brandon, who made that quote? Or you be ruled by tyrants. Men are always tyrannical. So the whole study is about the actual trust document, the Father's prayer. I did this a couple weeks ago, right? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Okay, so hallowed, set apart. That means holy, 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 set apart. The Father is the grantor of the trust. And I wish I could explain this to people that understood what the grantor was. I'm going to break this down next week. But then you had the first trustee, right? The first trustee was Yahushua. He did the will of the Father. He did the will of the grantor, right? And of course, you got to have property inside that trust. This trust is dependent upon. And of course, we know that to be our daily bread. Our daily bread is the life given from the Father. This is that property. That's the intent. And then, of course, give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our debts, and as we forgive those our debtors. Of course, this can correlate with trespasses or trespassers. It doesn't matter. Debt is sin because the borrower is slave to the lender. Remember, usury is odious in the law. It's called money magic. You can't create something out of nothing. But debt has always been a part of slavery. Once you get a man in debt, he is slave to the guy that lent it to him, right? He's trespassing against his property. So understand, it's about property, forgiving and forgetting, okay? And thine be the kingdom, the power, and the glory. The kingdom in the Bible is always government. Kingdom and the power, that means that's your higher authority, that he's above you. He's outside of space, time, and matter. And then, of course, then you have the glory, and that's forever, perpetuity. And, of course, that's a perfect trust document set up right there. And we're going to do Psalm 23 this weekend. We're going to do the seven principles of a trust. I'm sorry, the seven stages. I'm sorry. Let me get this correct because I don't want to misspeak. I did the 7 principles of a testator, and we did that last week. Now, next, we're going to do the 7 stages of a trust and living irrevocable trust. And what happens is you've got to understand that these how this correlates to our current paradigm, right? And of course, there's a public trust set up in our names too, which was done at the Gettysburg Address by the traitor Abraham Lincoln. We'll discuss that too, and I'll show how this language has been used to enslave us. But that was the point. Seek you first the kingdom of Yahuwah, because those who do the will of the Father, those are my brothers, my sisters, and my mother. And these things, you've got to always seek His face, and it's a process of learning. and breaking off the old self, of course, this correlates to the old man, right? You're always dying to self. And that is exactly what the man who seeks knowledge does. He's always dying to self. And remember, there's two kinds of love. There's the selfless love, and then there's the selfish love, which is
all right. I'm dropping shit over here. My bad.
It's okay, buddy.
Okay, so check this out. I'm going to take a little advice that I got from Brandon, and I'm going to take a little advice that I got from Jesus Freak Computer Geek. He said, I need to reread my Bible with a lawyer's set of eyes. Also, Jesus Freak Computer Geek also said, don't read it like it's a novel. Read it like it's a law book, a book of instruction. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's exactly how you're supposed to read it.
Well, but nobody does. They read it like they're reading a bedtime novel, and next thing you know, they're asleep and they didn't finish reading it, or they didn't take it in as it was meant to be.
That's right.
Because I've taken that advice. And also, before I forget, because I meant to say this before we went live, is I actually fasted for the first time ever on Saturday.
Oh, congratulations, bro.
Dude, I thought it was going to be easy, and all I kept thinking about was food. All I kept thinking about was food. It was killing me, but I did it.
Yeah,
I prayed a lot, and I even went to the woods at the end of the day when I had no energy, no food in me. I went to the woods and I hiked 6 miles in the dark. So, and
I'm going to tell everybody here now. Listen, ladies and gentlemen. I'll put it in the. I'm gonna put it in here. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now.
Go ahead.
I don't think I can put it in yours, but it's the 1828 Webster's Dictionary. And the reason why we go so far back, because the closer you can get back to when the Bible was translated, the more directly related the definitions are. You come all the way to 2016 and use a dictionary from 2016 with all the definitions that they've changed. You're not anywhere close. You're not anywhere close to what it means. When you think you know what a word means, stop. Go actually define the term, and you'll come away with a lot better understanding why it's the New Testament, why these things are talked about, and why they're said the way they are, because it had meaning, and the reason why they were translated the way they were. And listen, it's there for a reason. Define the terms, and you'll start understanding what's there. I shouldn't say understand either, but I hope everybody recognizes we're not under anybody's authority but the Father's here. Indeed.
Indeed. All right. Unless anybody else has got anything else, I think we can pull the plug, brother. Unless you got something else. If you want to go on for another hour, you feel free. It's all good. I'm just out of stuff to talk about, and I got 3 videos I got to put up.
What's up, handsome? Hey. Well, look, let's. Anybody got any real pertinent?
Yeah, throw it in the comments. We're watching right now.
You got anything pertinent y'all want to bring out? Anything else y'all need to say?
How about the chat?
I don't see anything. What's up, handsome? What's up, armchair quarterback, Debbie Webby, Glenn Clark, Joe Costello, Samuel Whitman, the Joe Info. Hey guys, I am Peace, Mark Winters, Maine. I see you, Proper Persona, a Roman Noodle. I see you guys. Thank y'all for coming. All Chemistry. Hey, you sent me a really good message the other day. I appreciate that.
Hey, check this out. Speaking of that, I said this in the video that isn't up yet, but it's coming. When I told everybody that my original email got compromised, or I believed it was, and I gave out my other email, please don't send me pictures of chemtrails and links to other YouTube videos, because I don't watch the other YouTube videos. If you've got pertinent information and you can back it up with links, send it. If you've got a problem that I can probably help you with, or I can maybe help you with, send it. Other than that, I already get 3,000-4,000 emails, comments, and such a day. It's too much, and then important stuff gets lost in the mix. And if I see an email from you at 1 o'clock, 1:15, 2:30, 4 o'clock, it's all going into spam. Email me, and I'll get back to you one way or the other. And Brandon's in the same boat because we put his email out there the other day. I only have a cardboard butler. He doesn't actually help me do anything, and nobody else does either. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, hit me up with something legit.
And look, guys, I've been very busy this last week. I even posted yesterday what I've been doing. And you know, some weeks are worse than other weeks. Some weeks I'm sitting in here and I'm studying all week. This is the first day this week that I've been home. The matter of fact, Richie wanted to go live last night, and I just told him, man, I had been building that ramp all day. Really wasn't up to it, and now tomorrow and the next 3 days, I'm gonna have my two sons.
Check that comment out.
That's well, he's talking about the process, and of course that's sedm.org, and that's
bear in mind, you make that video, they will pull your channel.
Yeah, and
so you're gonna have to be stealth.
It's that's one of those things, man. I advise people to go to sedm.org if that's the process you're thinking about. There's a lot of information. That's a data dump there. I'm not telling anybody to do anything. I'm part of the process. I'm looking for the way, and the way is through the living irrevocable trust that is your Bible document.
And the video that I posted that will be pinned in the comment section below. Seek ye, what the hell is the name of it?
Seek ye first the kingdom of Yahuwah.
Thank you. That basically starts to answer the question that Swamp Light's asking. Am I wrong?
Yeah, well, it does, but he's talking about a specific process. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about with that state citizen. The problem I have with that, we're citizens of the kingdom of heaven on earth. And this is something I couldn't rectify within my mind. Yes, we have to undo the presumptions made about us, but I'm starting to look at that a little bit differently. And this is why I don't rush out there to teach stuff until I'm 100% sure. And when I become sure is when I do take it to y'all. There's a lot of tricky ground out there, folks. So just know. The very first thing you have to do is have a recognition and grasping of law language before you even start talking anything else and wanting to do anything else. For one thing you have to have before you start doing all this stuff is a recognition and grasping of law language, because it's a totally different world. That's why that's why we have 3 different languages encoded in English.
Somebody just asked a question saying anything new with CERN. Well, I'm going to show you. CERN likes to put out random videos, and this video was for the new year. But let me show you this and see if you can see what I'm talking about here. CERN's got a 1 minute, 8-second video out that shows basically nothing except the 666, and there's no two ways about that. It's right there. But watch this. Watch how they decide to do 2020. Anybody catch that? The 66 on its side. And 22. Watch that again. Let's do that in slow motion. CERN did this. Now, these guys don't just do things randomly. You know what I'm saying? Everything is done with graphics people and all this other stuff. But watch this. 66 on its side.
Yeah.
Right there. And then 22, which is 11 twice.
Well, that's duality. I speak in duality in the first place, right? So yeah, that would be your 4 pillars, the 4 pillars of Freemasonry. You know, some of the photos, they have 4 pillars and not 2. So it's probably a mirror world that's probably talking about the tree of life versus the tree of death. Oh, you're talking about the Polygon and then the 9/11 memorial? I talked about that the other day. What you have there, that was the Saturnalia deal. The 9/11 memorial is actually directly related to Saturn, and of course you have the tower and the 2 cubes down there, which represent the phallus. That's why you have the One World Trade Center with the 2 cubes, the 2 big cubes in the ground. Saturnalia. Remind me about that, Handsome. I may do something on it eventually.
So Blessed Bear said, learn life skills, grow gardens, and food preservation. I can't agree with that anymore, because somebody already put up a thing about the rapture and all that. I ain't down with that. I can't find it anywhere, and people that are smarter than me can't find it anywhere. A lot of hopeful people found it, but Yahushua is going to come down here and do what he does. We may or may not be here. Who knows? I don't think I'll still be alive, but I'm preparing to be still alive. You know what I mean? I think they're going to shut me up sooner than later. I think there's going to be a bunch of us that are in for before everything pops off. They're going to shut a bunch of people up that they've already let know they know are here. They've already let Sib know we know about you. You know, there's no two ways about that. And if you start telling people how to withdraw from the system publicly, you got to use caution. You got to use caution. That's all. Don't dig that.
It's illegal to teach, to practice. It's illegal to practice their law unless you're a member of the bar. So understand this. And of course, the practicing is the witchcraft. What I am allowed to teach is the law perfected. Now you got to recognize these words right here. The law perfected. This system only recognizes one law other than theirs. The beast only recognizes one law other than theirs, and that's the law of the Bible.
Indeed. You guys could hit that thumbs up. There's a lot of people watching. A bunch of people already bounced all of a sudden, apparently. Or they got thrown out. One of the two. At any rate. Brandon, I appreciate your time. I know you're tired, man, so it's all good. And
thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I always appreciate coming, buddy.
No worries. Someone just said, why don't you have Owen on? Well, because he's an actor. And Armchair Quarterback pretty much nails it. Every year, a couple of actors, comedians, whatever, pop up and suddenly become truthers. Their channels explode, and then something wacky happens to just them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which usually ends up being monetary gain for them at somehow. But at any rate, Richie from Boston, Brandon the BigSib, all links will be in the comments below. Thank you for everybody jumping in the chat tonight. Barbara Aranda, Rain Dance 37, Arizona, Frankenbeans, Zepzo, Perfect Aim. That'll be good. Andy Trullinger with the wrench, Dr. Savage 84, Georgia Boy, Ann Spence, Bosco Nick, Perry Chronicles, and Alex Riviera and KT Emma. Richie from Boston, Brandon the BigSib. We are out.